everyone. It's March 6th, 2019. It's Tuesday. It's Harp Tuesday. And today I'm going to be doing the third and final of my episodes looking at arranging Skyboat's song. So this is something I started last year, and the first episode actually was a real-time look at me trying to come up with an intro. And I came up with something and actually didn't end up using it in the finished arrangement, but I always think that sort of real-time look is kind of interesting as a picture of what one composer at least does. And then the previous episode, the second episode in this series, I looked at the first two verses and what I had done with that. So here I want to look at the next two verses and tell you about that and just offer some closing thoughts. So again, this piece, right, has some quite vivid words and imagery. And so I ended up trying to capture that in the piece. So where we left off, the third verse is, through the waves leap, soft shall ye sleep, ocean's a royal bed, rocked in the deep, Flora will keep watch by your weary head. And so I wanted to kind of capture that idea of maybe more of a lullaby. And after the previous verse where everybody's dead, big battle, and a little calmer, and water, right? That sense of water. So what I ended up doing is this. Moving the tune to the left hand, which is always worth experimenting with if you're doing an arrangement or something, it can be useful, something to try. And doing this little rippling pattern in the right hand. What's interesting about this is this GBC. It could, of course, be an E minor 6. So an E minor plus the 6th. But it could also be a G 4th. And these two, right, they're part of either a G major or an E minor. And so without including the E most of the time, it ends up having maybe more of a major feel there, a little more hopeful. That, of course, is minor, and eventually I do have to fill in the bar, and it ends up being an E. And that's the type of thing that it's interesting to maybe analyze after the fact, but I certainly wasn't thinking specifically that way as I was writing it. I was experimenting, trying to get the sound that I wanted. So relying not necessarily on my knowledge of chords, but instead on my ear. So that's just worth, because I think sometimes maybe people feel, I just don't have enough theory or something like that. And absolutely, theory is fantastic and can help. But also sometimes, again, it's maybe best at just describing what happened afterwards, and that it's our ear that we rely on when we're actually writing something. So that moves into another chorus. And as I talk about in the arrangement, with these choruses, what I ended up doing was, this piece, the verses are kind of composed in a classical sense with somewhat the intention that they will be played as written, and because I'm trying to convey something specific. Whereas the chorus, the Speed Bonnie Boat, I'm not doing a lot differently each time we hear that. And it would be a perfect opportunity to do some improvisation, do some grace notes, treat it as one might and sort of a traditional Celtic piece where you're not going to play it the same every time, and everyone's going to play it slightly differently. And I have specifically written in some potential suggestions. So I've gotten more and more elaborate. So here, I think this, right after this, after that verse, this chorus, like that. And you can hear, there should be a link up here somewhere to the music video. So that's something that you could do exactly as written, or you could use that as a starting point for your own sort of embellishment, or do something completely different. But I kind of liked having some suggestions in there. And then we get to the last verse. So it's burned are their homes, exile and death. Scatter the loyal men. Yet ere the sword, cool in the sheath, Charlie will come again. So in this case, I really wanted to kind of pull things apart. I will mention that previous verse, right? When the left hand's playing it, I actually changed things a little bit. So, and then instead of whatever it is, I went. So just a little bit of a change. But this last time, here's what it sounds like. And here's scatter. Into the one last time on the chorus. So the burned are their homes, these some big huge chords, a nice crunchy C major 7. And again, I certainly wasn't thinking about, oh, this is a perfect spot for a C major 7. I knew I wanted a crunchy chord, experimenting, trying some 7th chords. Like the sound of that. Then this kind of cadenza-like little arpeggio. Just on an E minor, so it sounds good, I think. But it's easy to play because it's just an E arpeggio, an E chord progression. And this moment here is my favorite part of the arrangement. I think it's almost as if the whole piece has been setting us up for this moment, kind of hopefully a little bit of a hair-raising moment as we have this. So, again, as if all this slapping sound, percussive sound, has been leading us to this moment here, and again pulling apart the tune a little bit. Oh, sorry. A little D suspended, perhaps. So. Yeah, I'm really happy with that, how that turned out. And then we get one last chorus, and I finish it. Where you're just supposed to keep doing that and gradually fade it out. So softer and softer, and then it fades away in the distance. So I'm quite pleased with this arrangement. You can buy it if you would like. There should be a link here somewhere. And for the month of March, if you're watching this in 2019, it will be on sale. And I'm going to put my Fantasy on Green Sleeves on sale as well for March, because that's what inspired me to do this whole idea of doing a Harp Tuesday series about creating an arrangement. Is I think it's just a good way for me to finish and commit and do one of these. And so then I wanted to just offer a few sort of overall thoughts about the process. And I guess the main one is just how helpful it can be to have some structure when you're trying to create something, right? So here I came in, I had the tune, right? And again, sometimes I pulled it apart, but I had this tune and I had these words to provide some imagery and some story that I could use to inspire what I wanted to do with that. So rather than just a blank page, there's already a lot of structure there, and yet there's room to work within that. And that can be really helpful. I also came into this arrangement with a couple of goals, right? I said I wanted to do some percussive sounds, to do, experiment with that, and to do an arrangement that wouldn't be too difficult. That would be something, for example, that I could give some of my advanced beginners or early intermediate students or whatever. With Fantasy on Green Sleeves, that arrangement I did for myself. And the lever harp version actually is not so bad, but the pedal harp version has that, it's pretty advanced, and which is fine, which is great. Like, it's great to write for oneself. But in this case, I came in with those two goals of making it not too challenging, make it fit really nicely under the hands, which I always try to do anyway, and to incorporate the percussive sounds. And as I did this, I would say, so again, structure can be really helpful, but then sometimes maybe it's good to know when can you relax some of that structure. Obviously, if someone's paying you and they have a specific set of lists, a specific set of specifications that you need to achieve, great. Or if in the case of Fantasy on Green Sleeves or this, there's nobody going to stop me from going off in some other direction. As I did this arrangement, as I worked on it, I felt at various times, I could see this taking off into an even more challenging piece. But I ended up coming back. So while I think this is maybe a little more challenging than I initially had hoped, I also, of course, wanted it, as I mentioned, I wanted it to sound good and be fun to play. And I think it's definitely achieved that. I didn't end up doing as much with this, like trying to create different sounds. Now, I do suggest accenting certain beats and of course, you can experiment with a type of slap. So when in the music video, I will do like a slap like this, and then also more of a tap. But I didn't do a lot in terms of asking for specific, maybe some thumb slaps or some. And that's okay. Like I'm as I say, I'm really happy with that moment towards the end. That to me makes the whole slapping aspect worth it, even if at the beginning it's okay. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the most amazing intro, but I like it, and I like the fact that it leads to this bar 75 or whatever towards the end. And so I'm happy to have finished this, really happy to share this with you. Definitely watch that music video. I had fun putting that together. And if you're looking for an arrangement of Skyboat Song and you like this, I would certainly invite you to buy a copy. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Cheers.